It's Tuesday, Quarantine Tuesday. How are you doing on this lovely, whatever the fuck? Hopefully, the weather is nice in your area. It's nice here in Texas, nice and warm out. Hopefully, everybody's able to start going out for some runs. Break down that quarantine 15 we all gained. Hopefully you gained the right type of 15 and you're going to lose the wrong type of 15. No, why would you lose the wrong type of 15? Oh yeah, because that's a bad 15. Anyway, enough of that shit. So, guest on this episode was Cynthia. She is a photographer based out of the Austin and Dallas area, but she's willing to travel anywhere in case anybody from anywhere needs some pictures taken. She's got beautiful work. Go on at Cynthia Dawn Photos on Instagram or Cynthia Dawn Photography on Facebook. Even if you don't listen to the episode, just go look at her pages because the pictures that she takes are ridiculous. And she was able to talk a little bit about how she gained such in-depth expertise and offered some advice for anybody interested in starting or getting involved in photography. Also, remember to check us out, TonyTalks8podcast at gmail.com if you want to send an email for any fucking shit you want to send. Or also TonyTalks8 on both Instagram and the Twitter sphere. So hit us up. All right, how you doing? Hope everybody enjoys the show. I'll talk to you next time. Go fuck yourselves.
Brand new start of it in old New York.
So you taking a lot of pictures today, or is that like you doing some editing of pictures you already took today, or what's the story with the?
Well, I'm editing the photos. I'm building this creative series of photos based on the coronavirus, but really, most of the photography I've seen, and I've done some myself, is like the sad, depressing stuff. But I decided it would be funny to do some fun stuff, some humorous stuff. So I'm going to start releasing those photos tomorrow. So I've been editing, and like one of them, I thought the only place you can socialize, quote unquote, socialize is the grocery store. So I thought it'd be really cool to get a really pretty girl in a formal dress, like a long, like ball gown at a grocery store. So I found this really janky hole in the wall grocery store, and I have her in a parking lot in this beautiful dress at sunset. And in the buggy is a bunch of toilet paper and some wine. And she's coming through the parking lot. So I have one with a mom trying to work at her computer because everybody's working at home, and the kid is duct taped to the floor because he's driving her crazy. I have somebody working from a home office dressed up from their waist up and then with no pants on.
Is this what you when you posted something you were like drinking?
Yeah,
that's some
yes, it's based
the
on
kids were in the background.
The kids are in the background. It's based on the humor of what we're dealing with being stuck at home and quarantined. And if you have kids at home, as you know, in Texas, school's done for the year. So parents are having to teach their kids that we have online school, but really parents have become teachers. Let me go inside because that train's loud. Parents have become teachers, and so they're trying to do their work from home and are also trying to teach their kids, and it's a little stressful. Just a little stressful. So yeah, that's the situation there. All right, let's turn this light on. That's better. It's not so loud.
So you're creating stuff that you've been dealing with every day.
Yeah, and I'm getting ideas from other people too. Like, I kind of got inspired by a funny meme I saw of a mom pouring. You remember that show, that 70s show that used to come on? That mom, there was a meme with her pouring an entire bottle of whiskey into the blender, looking just completely distressed. And I thought, well, that's kind of funny. And then I just from there started thinking about all the funny things that were happening. Even with no like salons, people are freaking out over getting their hair done. And women, their eyelashes. So I have a photo of a woman. She's looking into my camera as if it's a mirror, and she's trying to put these fake eyelashes on, and they look terrible. She doesn't know what she's doing. And I have a lady with a bowl on top of her son's head trying to cut his hair.
I keep seeing those. Everybody keeps doing that's like a new challenge on Instagram.
I hadn't seen the challenge. I just thought, okay, bowl haircut. That was popular like when I was a kid. So I just thought that would be funny. So yeah, that's all. Just trying to stay busy and find some kind of way to make people laugh because it's pretty depressing right now.
Especially there's no like fresh content coming out with like any with as far as like there's no sports. People are like
Right.
starving for something. So fortunately, we got you got some ideas. We got Tony Talks, to bring to the people.
It is. I think it's really cool.
When did when did you start with with photography? Did
It's
you know
been
when you were younger, or was it like
No, it's pretty new. Well, I've always enjoyed photography, but I am an artist. I've always painted and drawn. I did hair for years, hair and makeup. So photography is just sort of an extension of that art, the artist that's in me. But I think I originally got interested in it very first whenever I was instructing at Paul Mitchell School because we did a lot of hair shows and fashion shows. And so I was backstage. I wasn't I wasn't in the show. I was backstage, and I saw all the photographers and the models sort of interacting, and I thought it was really cool. And I've kind of had it in my mind since then, I guess. And then I had a really weird job for a short time where I went to flew into Vegas once a month for about it was over 2 years, 2.5 years maybe. I have to go back and look. But I ended up doing hair and makeup at a really interesting establishment an hour outside of Vegas. And the ladies that work there need new photos constantly. And where I was working was in a salon
need
and spa.
new photos or nude photos?
New, like brand new content.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
To market themselves. And so there was always where I stayed on the property was salon spa, and then there was a suite there. And there was also in the same big building, the salon, there was a photography studio. So the ladies could come in and have their photos taken, and however, I guess I think every like 3 months. And so doing hair and makeup and then watching what they were doing, I was really the photos were beautiful. It was like a boudoir type setting. And of course I was doing the hair and makeup for it. And I just got really interested in it then and thought, wow, I could probably make money and I could be really creative, which is right up my alley. So I just decided to get a camera and start learning how to work it.
How long ago was that?
About 2.5 years,
Okay.
maybe closer to 3. And I've learned everything I've learned is from YouTube. I'm completely self-taught with YouTube. And when I first started, I thought, I can do this. This is going to be easy. Anybody can take a photo. And I went to Costco and I bought a $500 Canon Rebel, which is funny now as a professional photographer.
Why is
Because
that not
now
good?
no, now I shoot with a Sony Alpha 9 and the body of the camera is $5,000.
Holy
And then
shit.
and
Okay.
my lenses are like anywhere from I think the most inexpensive lens I have is probably about $800, and they go up to 6,000. Um, really not good glass and good equipment, and I have lighting. That's what makes the difference between somebody taking a snapshot on their cell phone and a pro photo. And it's been a blast, and I love it. And I'm doing okay. I was doing okay before the coronavirus. Now I'm really not working a whole lot because people are social distancing. So it's a little frustrating, but that's why I decided to do this project for myself with the help of like family and friends. So that's it.
So you come to them with the idea and want you to be in a long, beautiful dress in a grocery store or
Like a
coming out of a grocery store, right? A janky grocery store with toilet
janky
paper
grocery
and
store.
more.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic photo. It's a beautiful photo, but it's hilarious. It's because it doesn't, but it makes no sense whatsoever. But that's what's cool about a photo. For me, a photo not only needs to be technically good, but it needs to tell some kind of a story. And that's for like, if you look at any of my photos, you can hop on Instagram. If you like use your fingers and zoom in, you'll see that everyone's eyes are crystal clear and they look like real, like you could touch them. There's no fuzz at all. And so that's really, really important to me. And a story, I want someone to look at a photo and first be drawn to that person's eyes, because then you sort of engage with the subject. And then from there, I just want everything to be interesting. And especially if it doesn't make sense, it really gets people's attention,
Yeah, I looked at some places or some pictures you have look like they're not real, but it's like a fake place in like the real world. As far as
Yeah.
like the nature things and stuff like that. It's like
Oh,
where
so
this just looks like unbelievable, but
it's just the way I edit. I've figured out a way to remove shadows, and I have a lot of photographers now, which is really cool for me. That they've been shooting for a long time, longer than me, and they have contacted me, wanting me to tell them how I'm editing, but I'm not telling anyone because I have a friend who's helping me create presets for like Lightroom and Photoshop. So I want
is
to
that what
get
you
that done.
use edit in Photoshop?
Yeah, I use Lightroom and Photoshop. I use Lightroom more than Photoshop, honestly. But
I never heard of Lightroom.
Lightroom's great. It's a little, it's a lot easier to learn than Photoshop, but there are certain things that it can't accomplish. Like there's this thing called frequency separation, and it edits. You can edit someone's skin and still leave skin texture. You know how you see all these silly girls with all these dumb apps like that completely they put apps on their face and it's like a filter, and you
Hmm.
can't even they look like mannequins because there's no texture.
Yeah.
Well, I can go into Photoshop, and using layers and frequency separation, I can remove all flaws from someone's face and still leave all the skin texture. And it's a really, you have to have that tool in order to be able to create pro shots.
When you learned Photoshop, you said this was self-taught and you learned on YouTube. That was photography. Was that Photoshop too?
Photoshop and Lightroom, both. And I have this friend. We've been on and off friends. So we have a complicated relationship, but John King, and he's extremely smart. And in the beginning, he was able to he's like the Rain Man. He can look at something and figure it out. He was able to help me where I got stumped a little bit, figure things out. And I've just sort of gone from there. But yeah, YouTube is full of fantastic, unlimited free content for if you want to learn anything. And I use it on a weekly basis still if I want to learn something new.
I use Udemy,
Oh, that's good too. I have that too.
and they have a bunch of free classes right now because of the pandemic and everything. So I like signed up for something that said learn how to be a photographer, and I was like, let me just put this in my library just so I have it.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I mean, there are things that are, you know, composition matters, like horizon line. I see so many people like take pictures of the sunset whenever it's really pretty, but it's like a sideways, the angle's always off. So like that horizon line needs to be straight in order for it to look more professional. Just so probably that class you're going to take is going to teach you that basic stuff, but that basic stuff is what will make your photos look so much better. And so just less like a snapshot.
Okay, those are the only two things you use. Could you do anything like After Effects? Is that part of
What do you mean After Effects? Do you mean like adding things to the photo? Oh, you can do that in Lightroom. Well, you can do that in Photoshop, not
Okay,
Lightroom. You
okay.
can do that.
After Effects is more for like videos.
Yeah, videos. And a video is something I have just started like figuring out. My camera that I have is like probably one of the best cameras to have for videography as well. But I have just started watching videos on I have never made a video with my camera because to be honest, the editing just sounds really time consuming.
With video editing?
Yeah, it just sounds like a lot, very time consuming. So I know why there's a reason a good photographer and a good videographer charge so much. People will contact me all the time. And I think I'm actually pretty decently priced. I should charge more, but right now, since I'm newish, I'm sort of in the middle. But people will contact and they want all these fabulous photos, and then I tell them my price and they freak out. And I'm like, well, what you don't think about when you're hiring a photographer or videographer is you're not just paying
Mm-hmm.
for the final product. You're paying for all my experience and what I know, my knowledge, my years of learning, and my editing, and you're paying for a lot. So it's a lot of work, and sometimes editing photos takes hours depending on what, how someone's skin looks. It's pretty, especially if you're dealing with someone who's a little older, because you don't want to take someone who's say 65 and remove every single line from their face because they don't look recognizable, but you still want to know how to soften those lines just enough so the focus is more on their eyes. And the majority of people can't do that. So you got to think about that when you're hiring a photographer or a videographer, because it's a lot of work. And I have people asking me if I can take 20 pounds off of them, and I think they're kidding, and they're not. And I can do that, but I mean, it's not gonna look right.
Can you
And
can you
plus,
can you change how their 20 pounds looks?
I can. Oh yeah, I can. In Photoshop, there's something called liquify, and you can warp. And so what that means is I can make someone smaller. I can bring their waist in. I can make their bosom bigger. I can make their bottom bigger. I can legs, arms. I can change their shape completely if I want to.
Oh, this is
And
like that's like all stuff they do on like magazine shoots.
yeah, that's exactly. And they use Photoshop. Photoshop is used by, and Photoshop is really complex, and it's probably going to take me a few more years to learn everything in it. And I may never learn everything because it's cool. You pay a subscription every year, and they're constantly adding to it, like new things. I mean, I can make my hair longer if I want on Photoshop. I can make my eyes bigger. I can make them smaller. I can add a dimple. I can do crazy things. It's really fun.
Photoshop's been around for I feel like forever too.
It has. It's been around a very long time. I think it may have been the first real editing system that came out. I would guess, like a really professional one. So
I used it for the first time, and I created a. I'll show it to you over the camera real quick because it was on put on Instagram. I was so
uh
proud of it.
that's cool.
It took me a couple hours
Photoshop is hard. Let me see. Let me touch that so I can see you. Oh, that looks good.
because it's. They said they're gonna have a fight islands because UFC is getting everything shut down. So Dana White said he's gonna buy an island.
Yeah.
It was like Mortal Kombat, so I used all Mortal Kombat stuff with the UFC fighters with Dana White, like these.
That's really cool though. I think that it's fun. You can get really creative on there and do all kinds of things. You just have to have patience because it's hard to learn.
Yeah, all that shit is hard to learn because
It's so hard.
like, oh, this is all I edit audio in Audition, so that takes I feel like kind of used to it now. But there's always like something about just editing audio, and it's like it's the same way if you're trying to make somebody look good, it's trying to make sound the best.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I'm glad it's hard because that means the majority of people aren't going to do it. So, hey, I have a job. But
So you 2.5 years ago is what you decided, and you're doing cosmetology before that.
well, cosmetology, I was an instructor. Yeah, I did hair and makeup for years, and I was an instructor at Paul Mitchell School for a very long time. And I was actually the color specialist and the makeup artist, the makeup specialist at Paul Mitchell School in Houston. So I stayed pretty busy with that.
So did you ever have like a 9 to 5 type of deal?
Like ever in my life?
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever I was, gosh, in my first life, when I was like in my 20s, I was like a dental hygienist at a dental office, for,
Okay.
probably a good 5 or 6 years.
Because what's awesome about this stuff now is being creative and able to put content out is you can kind of like get away from that soulless grind. I like to call it.
Yes. I honestly, yeah. Whenever I could never, I think I would just want to die if I had to go back. If I ever had to do a 9 to 5. I don't think I would emotionally be capable of it anymore. I mean, I have lots of freedom and I don't have to deal with people's BS. I can't stand people on power trips. And it doesn't matter how old people are. When you're in any kind of an office setting, there's like this
High school.
clicks form. And it's like high school, and people are such assholes. And it's like, can I say that? Sorry.
Yeah. That's
They
like
are.
that's the least of at least this is like the lowest amount of cursing on since I've had somebody on.
I mean, I've been stuck. When I did hair, even I worked at Hair Club for Men for a short time, which is like hair replacement for people who are balding, and not just male pattern baldness, but like people who are going through chemotherapy,
Oh,
kids that have trichotillomania and alopecia.
mhm.
But man, one of the worst people I ever met in my life was a lady that worked there, and I hated going to work every day because I knew I was going to have to deal with her. And I don't have to deal with people anymore, and it's awesome. It's nice. It's really nice.
It's toxic.
It's very toxic, and I don't. we all make the decision whether to be happy or not. And people that are miserable, they just spread that wherever they go. It just oozes off of them, and anyone that's around them unfortunately gets affected by it. And it's pretty bad. That, like, I mean, and this is a little tangential, but that's one of my problems with social media.
Mm-hmm.
I love it because I can market and I can keep up, but gosh, one person gets on there and makes one toxic post, and it's like people can't help but just run to it and then tell them how wrong they are, and then these arguments pop up, and it's just this cesspool of negativity, and it's really awful. I don't understand it.
Virtue signaling. If you go to comments and comment sections of, you can't read comments of, if you get like certain amount of them. I don't have that problem just yet.
You will.
But like I look at pages and I see people just like ripping celebrities apart or whatever just because they said something that was taken out of context and posted somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's all hate.
It is. It's like I liken it to road rage. It's like where people go to vent, and they take out their aggressions on total strangers. Yesterday, and I don't typically, I like to read those posts just to see the hilarious, because they're not involved in one of those arguments on social media. It's funny to read. But I actually decided for some dumb reason I would go ahead and comment yesterday, because this woman was.
I've done that too. I've been guilty of that thing just as a joke or whatever, and then people take it serious. I'm like, all right, relax.
Woman lost her. She was posting basically that the coronavirus was airborne, full on airborne, meaning if you breathe it, you're dead. And there's no in between. You breathe it, you die. So you have to stay in your houses. And all I said was, you really shouldn't post misinformation like this, because some people don't watch the news and it causes issues. She got on there and called me uneducated and ignorant, and I was like, first of all, I was laughing because she was really ridiculous with what she was saying, but I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna not say anything else. But it was crazy though. She was so rude, and she didn't even know me, and I was nice. I was so nice.
That's a big problem with social media too. There's like, so you could just say something and there's no threat of anything happening to you because it could be anybody from anywhere. You don't have to worry about it. Fuck it.
Yeah, I know, because there's no repercussions. But it's been interesting during this pandemic because because I market my photography on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. I have tons of friends that I've never met, but I have deleted so many people because I'm just like, oh, negativity, gotta go. If anybody's like declaring that this is Armageddon and the world is over, you gotta go. if you're cussing out somebody because they disagree with you, you gotta go. I mean, adults should be able to have a conversation and completely disagree with each other and not insult each other. Because no matter what, Tony, you and I can have very different opinions on something. I'm still, if I listen to you and let go of my ego, I'm probably going to learn something I didn't know. And same with you. Like that's how you should communicate.
Yeah, that's how people evolve. That's how knowledge happens. Not by people taking a stance and never changing their mind ever.
No, especially when they get their information from like a meme or something. It's like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of knowledge coming from memes, and that's probably dangerous enough. What's probably equally as dangerous is if I was just talking to somebody about this, you go on CNN and that's all you watch, and you just parrot all their points, and then if you just watch Fox News and you just parrot all of their points, you got to find like a middle ground where you're watching a little bit of, not even like, you don't have to pay attention to those, but just go straight to the source. Like I watch Trump's briefings all the time, and it's it's funny. I think he's like the funniest president. But I take it for what it is.
Yeah. Did you see the one where he had the little video of all the?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, here's my mind. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like Trump as a human being. I think he's horrible. And I can tell you all the reasons, but I don't care to. I don't wish for him to fail because I'm not wishing for my country to fail. But I don't like him. I think he's entertaining and he's narcissistic and sexist and all that crap. But, dude, when he did that, part of me was like, that's what's up, bitches, because they do lie. They do twist his words all the time, and he's not a good speaker anyway. So I thought it was kind of funny, but at the same time, I'm like, damn, this is the whole world is watching this right now. This is what our president's doing with the press. And then after it was over, instead of just like letting it go, he just kept on
I
talking about
know.
how awesome
He
he was. I was like, dude, I would have respected him more had he just went on from there, But oh no, he's gotta build that ego.
he
It's
just
kind of fun.
he put something on his Instagram, on President Trump's Instagram of Obama, photoshopped. Speaking of Photoshop, onto a guy's body with them watching the TV with his two buddies. And there's a video clip of Joe Biden talking about, oh, the legs, and the kids used to touch you see that thing that Biden said about kids touching his legs? And he's like, and I like the kids. And then his two bodies looking at him, and Obama going, what? And then it cuts to President Trump and Pence, make America great again.
I cannot, like, who is in control? Somebody needs to control him on Twitter. Because it's ridiculous.
He's gonna get reelected because he's gonna run against Biden.
That's the thing that I don't understand. The Democrats have been and I'm a person who's down the middle. I don't vote Democrat or Republican. I vote for who I think the lesser of the two evils are every time I listen to the platform. So I'm a person who's in the middle. But why the hell? The Democrats have been trying so hard to get the power, to get back in the White House. Why did they pick somebody who, I think he might have dementia? He's probably not going to live to survive a term.
The Democrats, the party of diversity and change and putting a fresh image up, gave us 78-year-old Joe Biden, 77-year-old Bernie Sanders, 78-year-old Michael Bloomberg, and Elizabeth Warren's like 74 or something, and she was like the fourth candidate. And they buried Tulsi Gabbard, who was my favorite candidate.
I haven't even heard of him.
No, it's the woman. She's a woman.
The woman, never heard of her.
Veteran, served overseas twice. She's Samoan, and very statesman-like. And they buried her. They changed the rules of the debate so she wouldn't be allowed to debate. And then they fixed everything when they got Buttigieg, whatever the hell that guy's name is, and the other one, Amy Klobuchar, however you pronounce her name, to drop out of the race and endorse Biden right before Super Tuesday. And that's how we passed up Bernie Sanders in the votes. Because I'd rather have Bernie Sanders because he seems at least like a genuine person.
Yeah, Bernie gets a lot of crap because he really is. He's for socialism, but it's like a progressive socialism. I personally love him, except for the way he wants the country's finances to go, because he's really going to be punishing some people who've worked really hard. But everything else he stands for, if you look at his history, he's what I would call an actual patriot. He's been fighting for equal rights since the 60s. I mean, he really fights for the underdog. He really cares. And I think it's a shame that he wasn't taken more seriously. I mean,
they screwed him over twice in a row.
They did. Like
not even like the people, the
Dems.
Yeah.
The Dems. I mean, he just wants everybody to live comfortably, which, to be perfectly honest, that would be fantastic. I have no problem with that. I'm not even my family would shoot me for saying that because they're diehard Republicans, but I like what Bernie Sanders has to say, when he talks about how the old saying that everybody has the same opportunity in America it's not true. If you're taking a kid who's born into, let's just make up this imaginary. You're taking a kid who's born into a really poor family, let's say a mom, and she's got 5 or 6 other kids, maybe different dads, maybe the same, but dad's not involved. She's not able to make money because she's not educated. So they're going to be on assistance from the state. But if you don't have a lot of money, number one, you don't get proper nutrition. That affects brain development. Number 2, you don't have a lot of money. You're not living in a nice neighborhood, which means you're not living in a good school district. So teachers aren't going to get paid good. So you don't get quality educators. You don't have anybody there helping guide you. And so your brain doesn't stop developing until you're 25-ish. So you take a kid like that, and then you compare it to, like, say, one of my kids who's been, we're just middle class, but basically has a silver spoon in their mouth, gonna go to college, has decent clothes, has education. There's no compare. It's not fair. It's not a fair. It's
It's
not
not
fair.
it's not equality of opportunity.
It's not. And it's really, really, and it does affect the way that people's brains are developed, especially when you add in violence. Because whenever you talk about people that are poor, poor people, there's more violence, there's more aggression, there's more desperate people do desperate things. People steal things. So you got a kid not only with not good education, not as good education, and not brain development as far as nutrition, and then you add the other things in, and you might as well just go ahead and put them in jail. We really need to fix our infrastructure. I'm a nerd when it comes to that, so I could talk about it forever. Sorry about that.
You mean educational infrastructure?
Educational infrastructure, but I mean infrastructure as in our welfare system.
Oh, okay.
CPS, Child Protective Services, our public school systems, prisons for profit should not be legal, shouldn't be allowed.
Oh yeah, that shit. They pay, and you could buy like woodworkings that prisoners make after they would get paid. They get paid like a penny an hour or something ridiculous.
Well, it's not even that. Private people, not the state, but private companies own prisons. Did you know that?
That's ridiculous.
So the more people that are in there, the more money they make, and you get judges getting paid under the table. Like you have people in prison for 20 years for smoking a joint, and you got a pedophile in there in and out in 5 years. Like, what's happening?
That's such a conflict of interest. For it to be a private, it's such a conflict of interest because, of course, they're gonna lobby or whatever for laws to make sure that they have so many prisoners, so that
that's right.
And I guess they get funding for having it filled up or whatever.
They do. They make money. There's so many documentaries about it. But for me, and those are the type of things that was all Bernie Sanders' platform. Those are things I've focused on for years. And Bernie Sanders, that's been his focus. And so I really I love that about him, because I don't hear any other politician ever even mention the word CPS. Let's get into our Child Protective Services program and see why it's so messed up. Because that's kind of important. Those kids are important.
The kids are kind of important.
Yeah,
a little bit.
They're just our future. So, yeah, poor Bernie. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, no, I liked him. I Ron. I was a Ron Paul. Like, I worked on his campaign and everything in 2012.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And it's weird because he's like the exact opposite as Bernie Sanders in as far as their principles. But to me, they're very similar in the fact that they actually had principles and would stand for what they believe in, have had consistent records for years.
Yeah, so. It's nice. It'd be nice if all politicians were like that, but they're not. And I think so long as we don't have term limits, we're going to have people in office they're there to make money.
Yeah, well, Joe Biden's been in for like 44 years. He's been at the Senate, which is
yeah. Yeah. Ugh, I can't stand him. Personally, I can't stand him because the first time I heard him speak, and this is just me, and it's just a non-fact based opinion, he made my skin crawl. I feel like he would just call me sugar if he met me. Like, he just is a touchy-feely old creepy guy. Like,
it's fucking weird.
It's fucking weird.
Creeps me out.
He creeps me out. I don't like him. And if that's what the Democrats want, then okay, I guess they didn't really want the White House that bad, because I think most people feel that way about him.
Yeah, we're getting Trump's if it ends up being Biden, which they're saying they might switch it at the convention because he's got like some accusations now.
Oh.
Which is hilarious in the fact that they railroaded Trump for him having accusations, and now they're putting up probably the only guy that had accusations that was running on this side. And
anybody who watches the news at all, but not even being a politician, knew that Biden had accusations, because it's not as secret as
those YouTube videos. There's like YouTube videos of Biden with kids. So he looks like a creepy old man.
He is a creepy old man. I really believe that. I wouldn't want to be alone with him, honestly. Well, he's old. I could probably hurt him, so I guess I could handle it. But 10 years ago, I wouldn't have wanted to been alone with him though. He really is that creepy, I think.
So I wanted to ask something. I had for something written down about shooting. Have you had a favorite place to shoot photos, and have you had like as far as weird times? You have to be in certain places at certain times in order to capture something that you want to look a certain way.
Well, I love my favorite time to shoot is obviously going to be sunset or sunrise, and that's because I really enjoy color saturation. So typically have a really pretty sky full of color, but you also have a really, it's called the golden hour for a reason. You have this really pretty golden light, and it's just really flattering on everybody's complexion. It's almost a filter in itself.
Oh, that's good. That's where I need to get shot
It will
with the filter,
we'll,
with the
we'll,
natural filter.
we'll do it. I mean, I still, even when I shoot with natural light and with the sunset, like if I want the sunset behind someone so I can see all the color, then I have to use a light on that person's face, because if they're just backlit from the sun, then they're dark in the front. So usually in that situation, to continue the golden hour theme, I'll take well, you would probably call it a flash. I call it a strobe, my light, and I put a color gel on it. And a color gel is just a piece of plastic that's different colors. So I'll put like yellow or orange, and it mimics the sunlight. Instead of just being a white light, it's like a yellow orangish light. So it looks like they're still all engulfed in the sunlight.
That's what you put that on the camera?
Well, I have my flat, you've seen photographers with like the tripods and the lights and the big umbrellas. So it's called a strobe. And so I have that, and then I have on my camera a transmitter that tells it to when to go off whenever I shoot. So because I don't have
It tells it when to go off, so it's like reading.
You put this little transmitter on it just hooks up to the top of your camera, and whenever you turn the light on, there's a switch on it. There's settings on it, and you can control the settings from that transmitter.
Okay.
So it's connected to my camera in every single way. It knows what settings, my camera, everything. So I control it that way, set it, and then that's how I take my photo. And then, I mean, I use pink color gels, blue color gels. It just depends. You can get really artistic and creative with it. But back to your question, I get tangential because I'm ADD. Sunset's probably my all-time favorite. And I like urban. I like to be on top of a rooftop, or I like an urban area for that. But I also like being like out in the field. Like if I shoot somebody in a formal dress, I would much rather take them out into a beautiful, just a huge green field with the sun going down behind them, because then you just have all green, which is really pretty and bright right now because of all the rain we've had. Then you have the pretty color in the sky. So it's kind of a basic backdrop. So whatever color her dress is, she's just going to pop in that photo, if that makes sense. Like if I've got this huge green background with a little yellow in the sky, then all of a sudden there's pink, your eye's going to go right to her in the photo.
I think I seen you post something like that. I think I've seen that on your page.
Yeah, I do that as often as I can. But then you see her, but then you're going to back up once your eye focuses on her, and you're going to see how pretty everything is. So
yeah, that makes sense. That's
water's pretty too, because I like reflection.
You post, I think it seems like a lot of posts in like a river running and people standing on.
Sometimes
I'm like the most dense person to be kind of just, oh, it's nice, it's cool, but
yeah.
I don't have any like an aesthetic eye.
Yeah,
but that's it looks. Sorry, you were gonna say something about the.
No, like some of the photos I take are funny. I have one in particular. I was just bored one evening, and I was just driving around looking for something to shoot with I had my strobe with me, and I found this like concrete plant. The building was white, but it was covered in yellow lights. And I noticed there were these little mud puddles close to it. So I got down, literally put my camera like right on top of the water. And it was a small mud puddle, like really small. But I got so close to it, and it got the whole reflection of the building in it. So it looks like I'm like on a lake or something, and you can see the building and then the reflection of it in the mud puddle. And there were no ripples in the water. So it's like a mirror image. And it's funny. People are like, where did you take that? And I'm like, it was a mud puddle. I just saw it and knew what to do with it. So You just have to get creative.
Just you develop an intuition.
You do. You
So
develop an eye. And when when you learn different techniques, you learn how reflection works, then you see. Even glass, I'll have somebody, like when I'm doing portraiture or senior portraits, if there's an office building that's just all glass, I'll have somebody lean right up against it and you can see their reflection perfectly. And it looks like there's twins right next to each other. So you get right on the wall and use that glass for like a leading line, and it leads right to their face, but then there's two faces. You can just get real creative. Yeah.
do you have like a specific niche? Nietzsche, the philosopher, Nietzsche, however it's pronounced.
I'm supposed to. I'm really good at sports photography too. I love it. It's probably what shooting baseball is like one of my favorite things to do. I can't do that right now.
Yeah.
But portraiture is fun. I especially like it whenever it's like maybe some musical artist or something, because then they want me to be really artsy and creative. But I mean, honestly, it's all about making somebody feel really good about themselves. That's really the fun part of my job. I had a woman recently who was really concerned about her weight gain, and and she was overweight, but she was very pretty. But I don't care what size you are. She was beautiful. And she was she had put off having photos taken forever, and she just wrote a book and had it published, and she had to have photos. So I was really happy to deliver her photos to her because she was almost in tears because she thought she looked so good. And I was
Oh
like,
wow, that's
I
so
was like,
nice.
yeah, like it was like the best feeling ever, because for her it was just a huge deal. She was like, oh my God, I look so good. I was like, but that's what I see when I see you. That is what everybody's, we're all very hard on ourselves. People don't see us like we see ourselves. So it's fun to present that to somebody and say, here you go, this is what you actually look like. And you look awesome. It's cool.
Yeah, that's a nice. That's got to be a rewarding feeling and to see, like, especially if they get emotional.
It is very rewarding. I love it. It never gets old.
So what are you doing during the pandemic to like decompress and stuff right now? Or you just more fine tuning your craft on like these on like Photoshop and stuff?
I've been practicing. I've been watching YouTube and learning a bunch of new techniques. I mean, I do that anytime in my free time, but I've had a lot of free time. So I've been doing that. I've been, if I come up with a cool idea, right now because anything that stands out, it's good marketing. I'll just call somebody. Hey, I like the way you look. I have this cool idea in mind. Can I please use you as a model? I won't charge you. And people get really excited about it, which is also good marketing for me. People, I'm being nice, yes, but I get to create the vision I have, but then they're going to go post that on their page and tag me in it. And then it's all over the place. So I do that. I drink. I'm drinking.
A drink.
I drink. I've been drinking way too much. I feel like I've gained the quarantine 15 or whatever it is. I know I've gained a little bit of weight, but I'm not worried about it. I'll get it off. But I really wish I lived in Colorado right now because my liver would be better off if I could just have a little green and not just drink liquor. It'd be probably healthier for me.
Green. Okay.
Green. Yeah, I'm ready for that to be legal in Texas. Alcohol is so unhealthy, and I don't understand why. Honestly, I don't understand why it's legal. It's a natural depressant. It kills your liver. It does so many bad things to the human body. Yet it's legal, and marijuana, which is natural and has so many healing aspects, doesn't hurt your body. It's just crazy to me. I guess it's all about money, though. Because cigarettes, same with cigarettes. Like, why is that legal? Killing yourself. You literally are killing yourself.
Yeah, what's crazy to me is, especially in Texas, because Texas is known for being like such a freedom state. Yet we're late to the party with marijuana because somewhere this goes back to left and right. The left decided that that's their cause, and the right decided, oh, that's their cause. We have to oppose it. Since this is mostly a right state, it's illegal.
I
think.
think,
I don't know. What do I know?
I mean, it could be, but I think also, was it Reagan? Was it President Reagan that started the war on drugs, or was it Clinton? Was it Reagan? I think it was.
Reagan, yeah.
So that back then I would have been like in elementary school, But I remember we had McGruff, the crime dog, that they would come in and use to talk to us, and they would talk about how bad drugs were. Just say no to drugs. And I remember hearing that marijuana was the gateway drug, and I remember even then thinking, but really alcohol is, because that's easily accessible to anybody. It's all a drug. People just
Drug?
don't think of it.
This is a drug. I'm drinking coffee right now.
I
Caffeine is
just
a drug.
But they really they put that slogan out there, and people just grabbed onto it. Like, and so Texas, even though it is the freedom state, it also is very Republican. So in a lot of aspects, as far as like being the Bible Belt and being very conservative. And like my parents, for example, just thought marijuana was just the antichrist. It's horrible, horrible.
I was going to
Um,
jokingly say marijuana is the devil, and then you say Antichrist. So,
that's
okay.
what a lot of people think. But like now my parents have started coming around, and they even understand the medicinal aspects of it. And I mean, human beings are going to find a way to get high, whether it's alcohol or abusing prescription drugs, which that is another story.
Yeah, that's the
Like that big pharmacy is like the biggest drug dealer on the planet. But it's all interesting. It all boils down to politics and who's making the most money, I think. But I will say this: I have some friends who are really entrepreneurs and are into the stock market and whatnot. And one of them in particular told me several years ago that it's going to be legal in Texas within the next couple of years, because Marlboro has created a cigarette that's not just a cigarette. It's instead of the little orange end, it's green. It's marijuana basically.
nice.
They haven't put it on the market yet, but if they're getting involved. And I was told by this person, once we start seeing like the CBD oil and stuff being sold in Texas, it's okay. That's the first step, and then it's going to be medicinal, and then it's going to end up being the recreational. And if you look at the other states that have ended up having it legal, it's the same thing. And so CBD oil places are all over the place right now.
CBD oils are freaking everywhere.
It's everywhere.
I'm sure like 90% of them are bullshit.
I'm gonna have to agree with you, because I've tried it all. My left knee. I used to run marathons. I used to run all the time, and so my left knee's kind of blown. So I've tried all the expensive creams with that stuff in there. Not a damn, didn't do anything. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't feel anything.
Some people
Nothing.
swear by it.
I think
but
they're selling it, or they're smoking it too, because I don't feel anything.
hopefully a few good companies come out of this whole CBD nonsense.
Well, I think a lot of the places that are just into the CBD thing will probably have dispensaries. You know what I mean? I think it's a setup for heading in that direction, if that makes any sense. Like once it's
Yeah.
legal, they're already set up for it. So I think those people are probably involved in more ways.
They'll be in a good position.
They'll be in a great position, yeah.
I hear so many podcasts. Listen to Joe Rogan. He's got like sponsors, a different sponsor for CBD.
I love Joe Rogan. He's great.
He's my hero. This was inspired by Joe Rogan. What do you have any like shows that you like are binge watching just to keep your minds off things right now or anything like that? I ask this to everybody during the middle of this pandemic.
I watched the Tiger King because I could.
God.
Did you see it?
We watched it and we didn't really get into it. We watched like the first episode was good. Like after like the third or fourth episodes, it was just like in the background. Did you see it you see the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing, and I'm from East Texas, so that dude was not that foreign to me. The only thing that was foreign, I've never seen a gun-toting redneck that was gay. That other than the gay factor, I pretty much met Joe Exotic like a million times in East Texas. Like it's ridiculous. So it was entertaining to watch all the uneducation, and so I guess they use meth, so they're missing teeth, and like they lived in. I was just crazy, honestly. But it wasn't that foreign to me because of where I grew up, I guess is what I'm saying. I mean, I grew up. Have you ever heard of James Byrd?
James Byrd.
So James Byrd in the 90s was a black man who in Jasper, Texas, walked out of a bar one night and just happened to run into three white supremacists. Jasper's not that far from where I grew up. And they, long story short, ended up tying, after they beat him up, they tied him to the back of their truck and drug him down a dirt road or a paved road until he fell apart. And of course they were arrested and they've been put to death since then. But like, I knew his daughters. I went to school with his daughters. So that's the kind of stuff. I remember seeing the KKK having rallies on the side of the road. Crockett, Texas. I can remember my family has a deer lease out there, and in front of their courthouse on a regular basis, the KKK would be having a peaceful protest, and just in their little suits and everything. And it was always for me
bizarre.
Well, you know, for people that are actually around it, don't just see it on TV, they're the most stupid people. Like, I think they make it to the 5th grade. Like, I shit you not. They're like inbred, backwoods, dumb. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in a crowd of them if I was if I was a black person, or, you know, it's not just black people. They don't like Jewish people.
Yeah.
Black,
There's like white Anglo-Saxon Protestant supremacists. Like, they have like some weird narrow.
It's a really weird, like, who decided to make that list? I don't know. But they're a bunch of morons. They really are. Like, idiots. Like, backwoods hillbillies. Like, that's the nicest thing I can say. And and I went to school with kids whose parents were involved. And it's funny, people like that, I guess people in small towns that live in a bubble their entire life and they literally never leave. It's easy for that to just be generational because they don't even know any different.
That's
ask questions.
Good point. That's probably the issue. Is it's just you're in a bubble and you only know what and whoever is responsible for you allows to go into your bubble.
It's true. If you ask, I asked all the time because I don't think like that at all. But well, can you explain to me why? Why don't you like a black person? None of them could answer my question. They don't know.
Did you see? This was another thing I learned on Joe. Like 90% of my knowledge comes from the Joe Rogan podcast. This guy went on his podcast. He was a black guy. He played jazz music, and he played in some club in like Alabama or something. And there was a Klan member there, and he asked to talk to I don't remember his name. Asked to talk to the guy after he performed, and he's like, "That was really good." He's like, "I got to tell you, I never heard a black guy perform like that." And he tells him that he's a member of the Ku Klux Klan, and the dude was like, "Oh shit!" He was like, "I had to get out of there." But then he just started talking to him, and since that conversation, he used that guy's network pretty much and started talking to all different Klans members, and got them to turn in their hoodies.
That's awesome.
Things, and it's just like because he's probably asking the same question that you just did, and
Why?
like, "Oh well, I don't know."
Yeah. I think that people that are racist is to any degree, in my humble opinion, they're just lazy ass thinkers. They're just lazy thinkers. Somebody told them something one time when they were a kid and they just never asked or questioned it and they just ran with it. There's no critical thinking involved, which is easy if you're not, if you're not finishing school, if you're not even finishing junior high. We talked about brain development earlier. It's easy for people to fall into that, but it is lazy. It's just lazy. It's a shame.
Yeah, it's
disgusting.
Disgusting.
But like the guy that killed James, the 3 guys that killed James Byrd, they weren't KKK. They were, what is that? Aryan Nation, white supremacy. There's like a different group.
And they probably don't like the KKK or whatever or something.
I don't know.
They're probably like all like fucking. They still need to go. We should lock all those people in like Wyoming or something.
We should put them on an island by themselves and just let them go at it.
Yeah, or that.
I mean, lazy. I mean, I'm not making excuses. I have absolutely no respect for anyone that says anything like that or talks like that or thinks like that. I'm curious and want to know what probably they're thinking and why.
It's on some level probably stems from some type of unsatisfaction you have with yourself or with your own circumstances.
Absolutely.
So you're trying to devalue other people.
I think so. I do. And also, if you're going to be really nerdy, if you really want to nerd out and you go back to like our caveman brains, I mean, racism, the word racism, immediately when you hear it, people just immediately get defensive and they think negativity. But racism is really at its basis, I mean, you can say that it's noticing that somebody's different. So think about caveman days. Think about when we were in tribes. So
Mhm.
anyone that wandered up that looked different than your tribe was potentially dangerous. You know what I mean?
That
What are they
makes
there
to
for?
see. Yeah, that's kind of like that. There's like some primal part of your brain that that's threatened.
Yeah, I mean, because I'll be real honest. I'm 44 years old, and I'm not even remotely racist. I mean, my great grandfather was full blood Choctaw. I'm a full on mutt, but like I do notice, like if someone's walking towards me, whether in a crowd or not, I notice like if someone's distinctly different from me in color, it's just my eye just picks it up, and I notice that person first. Doesn't mean I'm scared of them or think anything bad, but I do notice people that are different looking than I am.
Yeah,
The
I mean
same with seeing with
that's
somebody
just
missing an arm,
the
it's like,
sight. Like you just see things.
yeah, and it's like, oh, I noticed that person. I mean, obviously your fiance, soon to be wife, is one of my best friends, and she's totally different color than I am, and I don't care. But I would definitely, if she were walking towards me and I didn't know her, I would definitely notice her around anybody else because she would just stand out for me.
Yeah,
But
well, she stood out to me too, and
well,
that's
yeah, because she's kind
that's you know
of hot. It's just the way it is, though. So sometimes I think people allow their fear and not even really, maybe people don't understand how they feel when it comes to racism, and they just allow their fear to kind of guide their thought process rather than just being a critical thinker. And you know it, it's okay that we look different. It's not really scary anymore. We all are in the same rat race now. We're not in tribes anymore. We're all just,
yeah.
but the caveman brain is interesting because it's biologically that stuff is still in there. So
That
you know
probably goes. I mean, you could tie that because think about it. We've only been society has changed so much so rapidly in only the past couple hundred years or so. So
yeah.
the tribal part is pretty much still takes up a predominant part of our DNA or whatever our brain function. I don't know. It's bro sciencing it here. Um,
Joe Rogan has a podcast talking about this actually.
he has this guy on. He has a book called Tribe or some shit. It's called.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah, it was an Audible book. I don't know. It wasn't an Audible book, but I downloaded the Audible book and it was great. Sorry. Yeah, he
It's
talks about
it's
this shit though.
it's cool though because it like even like people we always most I don't care what anybody says. I think most people are good people. Most of it, we all have good and bad in us, but I think most people are good people. And I think people get accused of being racist a lot more than they actually are, just like in politics or whatnot. But I think if people would just take the time like to read a book like that, or to actually think about, okay, why does this bother me, then and it's the same. People talk about reverse racism. I don't think there's such a thing as reverse. It's just racism. Like reverse, there's no reverse. If you are one color and you don't like somebody because they're another color, and that's the only reason, that's just racism.
What's
Um,
reverse? What is reverse?
well, I hear people say, and I don't know if it's a Texas thing, but I've heard it my whole life. People, if like a black person doesn't like white people at all, then people say that's reverse racism. And for me, that doesn't make sense. It's just
That's
racism.
just racist. Okay.
But but I think if people just take the time and like think about, okay, why do I feel this way? Where does it stem from? And then you can go down a rabbit hole and find like podcasts like Joe Rogan or that book you're just talking about, or there's
What?
answers for everything. When you understand, then your feelings change.
Yeah. Or you could hopefully you run into that jazz player.
Yeah, and just meet cool people and like have life experiences. Get out of your town, for God's sakes. Go do something besides sit around the same people and the same ideas all the time.
Yeah, that's something somebody brought up a couple of episodes ago about people that never left their zip code.
Yeah, get out. Get out. Like I think, and I will go to my grave believing that like education makes you a better person. When I say education, I don't mean formal. I mean
Mm-hmm.
getting out, traveling, like meeting people from like different cultures and different places, and like experiencing life in different ways, because then you become more accepting and more open-minded, which means you're going to learn more too. And then I just think it makes you a better person to have more life experience than just staying in one place.
One of
And
the best like I call it like the best 2 months of my life was when I studied abroad in Peru.
oh, cool.
And it wasn't even just, it was so educational. There was classes and I went, but it was just everything else, just experiencing the culture, talking to so many people, drinking some ayahuasca tea and all that. Um, so that was, just kind of, that was just such what's the term when you,
Probably exhilarating and gave you
yeah,
like get you excited about life again because it's different.
immersive.
You were submerged. Yeah, you were submerged into it. Like, so yeah, that's awesome. That helps you learn the language a little bit better too.
Spanish?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Whatever
a little bit, yeah.
I can't speak Spanish, but
I know donde están las chicas esta noche. That's all I know.
I don't know what that means.
That means where are the girls tonight?
Oh,
That's,
I know. Uno, dos, tres, enchilada, tamale, taco. And I think I might know a bad word, but I'm not really sure what it means. So
is it puta?
yeah, that word.
Yeah, I think that
I
means
don't really know
pussy
what
or
it means.
something.
I have no idea what it means, but I'm like, I think that's a bad word. But yeah, that's it. That's all I know. It's just the way it is. But yeah, I think getting out and having some really cool life experiences and getting out of your comfort zone is the only way to really become more open-minded. And honestly, when you become open-minded, you really enjoy life so much better because it's like, it's not just like this forever, because that's so freaking boring and stagnant. Like, once you start traveling a little bit, even if it's a different state, that there's always something new and exciting to find out about. I mean, that's what life is all about, in my opinion.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, traveling across not even across the country, but yeah, just to start with something.
Yeah, start. And with people like photography has afforded me the luxury of meeting, like I have escorts as clients.
Nice.
And it's interesting because, what was that movie with Julia Roberts, Pretty Woman? That that's the only positive thing I've ever watched or heard or seen with a prostitute or escort in it. But when you hear the word escort or prostitute, you think of somebody
Hmm.
like in an alleyway on crack or whatever. But I mean, these ladies are raking in, like, some of them $3,000 an hour. And I met one that speaks 5 different languages, who owns property all over the United States. Like, they're very educated and they're not what I thought they were. I'm not going to condone or disapprove of what they do. I have lots of friends who have lots of one night stands after going out and having a steak dinner with somebody. So I don't really, if I'm being real honest, I I think you should have the right to do with your body whatever you want. And I think if you can have sex with whoever you want, if somebody wants to pay you for it, that's fine. It's really not,
It's the
and
oldest
that's
profession
it is.
in, in
I
human
see
history.
absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think that the reason it's illegal in most everywhere is because people confuse it with sex trafficking, and those are two very, very different things. I guess they're probably intertwined a little bit, maybe, but these escorts that are making all this money, they're doing it because they want to. But they're interesting. Those are always interesting photo shoots because most of them will tell you anything. They're like an open book. And of course, I've got a million questions because I don't live that kind of life. So tell me all the stuff. I want to hear everything. It's pretty interesting. I'll give it that. They have, I mean, their lists of clients range from judges, preachers, school teachers, coaches. The majority of their clients, I think, are married. At least that's what they say. Married guys with families, and they just want to, like, they love their wives. They just want to break from reality, and then they do this no strings attached thing, pay money, and go about their business. It's pretty amazing, the underground network of it that happens, that goes on. Like, people are so unaware. They really are, and they blame these women. But what's funny is, if there wasn't a demand for it, it's like any product or anything else you're selling, then it wouldn't exist.
Yeah. That's true
So,
too. And
right?
the exchange of money is legal. The exchange sex is legal. But when you
Yep,
combine the two, you're creating two positives, making a negative, and you make it illegal.
that's right. That's exactly right. So it's an interesting, weird situation, I think. Um, I mean, obviously, I certainly do not want my daughter to do that for a living,
Right.
but I'm so I'm very open-minded at this point in my life. I've had some interesting experiences, so I can't say that half of the ones that I've met, I could take them out to dinner or go out with Delassie and Vanessa, and Delassie and Vanessa would never have a clue. Like
Yeah.
some of them have. One of them I know was about to take her state bar for to get her to be an attorney, and she graduated from law school completely debt free. I mean, so it's
No.
not like they're dumb people. I know. Think about that. You're like, and she never showed her face, so like in any of her photos or anything. So like she's been on the download this whole time. She paid for law school, and yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting life out
So
there.
you take the photos and then they have like a website or something and they say this is this girl and you whatever.
Yeah, and I don't know like what the websites are. I do take a lot of those photos. Right now I probably have about six, maybe seven regulars that are escorts, and they need photos like every 3 or 4 months. But I do not anyone else besides these clients. Please tag me when you post because it's marketing. But I don't have them tag me because people are so ignorant and so close. I don't want them to. I don't want your
Right.
families to associate me with that. You know what I mean? But man, I've taken some beautiful photos. Some of them I have posted. I just don't say who they are or what they do. But I've taken some great photos, really classy photos because I love boudoir. Boudoir is really pretty if it's done the right way. I don't shoot any erotica. I don't want to be involved in that. That makes me sick in my stomach. There's some weird people out there. I get contacted by weird people all the time wanting me to do all kinds of weird photos, and I'm like,
I can imagine.
dude, I'm like, what are you talking about right now? No, thank you. I do not want to come shoot you and your wife and your swinger friends doing. Who'll pay you? I had somebody offer to pay me like $1,800 one night to come to drive somewhere in a really fancy area, um, really nice area with a lot of money involved, and to shoot. They were having a party like that, and I was like, no, I feel like I'm good, but thanks. And I didn't. I'm not. I'm still. I don't want to pass judgment on those people either because that's what they want to do, but I just didn't want to go.
There's also nothing wrong with being open-minded, but also being like, okay, that's just not for me.
I have my own boundaries, and everybody should. And I don't want to. I'm not gonna shoot that. So if anybody listening to this, don't contact me to shoot that because it's not gonna happen. I can probably refer you to somebody who will shoot it though, but not me. Ew, because I don't. No, I'm good.
Um, yeah, well, so I think that's a good note right now because we're about an hour and over an hour in now.
Oh, are we?
Um,
Okay, cool.
what's your social media and stuff to if you want to put it
So
out?
so on Facebook, I'm public, so you can follow me, and I post my photos on there all the time. And it's Cindy Dawn, CYNDI, and then DAWN. And then my Instagram is Cynthia Dawn Photos. So it's just CYNTHIADAWN photos with no spaces or anything.
Well, which area do you service?
Well, I've flown all over the place. People fly me out of state sometimes. I've been to Chicago a few times, but for my home base, I work a lot in Austin and I work in Dallas and all over the Metroplex. Um,
Okay.
I just like to get out and get on the road. So like next week I'll be in the Houston area because I have this job, and it's a maritime services company, and I shoot for them on a regular basis, and it's a nice job. It makes me happy. It's a lucrative job, which is good for a single mom. But they basically need my photos for insurance purposes. Like if somebody does something stupid, like sinks their yacht, or if there's like a hurricane or something kind of damage, I have to go in and shoot when they clean stuff up so they can turn it into their insurance company and then get money back for it. So And that'll be so I'll be in Houston next week for that. Like
So,
not
so,
Houston, but the coast is down there. So
so you really do like kind of everything. With the
commercial photography, yeah. I do commercial, I do sports, I do boudoir, I call portraiture like lifestyle, like people, real estate agents like to use me for their stuff. Oops, sorry about that. Where'd you go? There you are.
right.
I do weddings, I do maternity, I do almost
Like
everything.
proms,
Yeah, like right now I'm doing a
do you do
special.
baby pictures?
I've done that once or twice. It's not really my jam because to do it right, you need the room to be almost hot because that's what helps the babies be comfortable and go because you want them to sleep. I don't like it. I know some people. I don't like it. It sucks. It's boring. And I do pets sometimes too, but they're kind of a pain in the ass too because it might take an hour just to get the damn dog to sit still. So
You gotta do
I'd
sneak.
rather not. Yeah. So, I need to get him. I need to get some shots of y'all for sure. And stuff I need to get some shots for your podcast you can put on Instagram. So I can do that sometime too. Like, and you can have the family discount since Delassie's my girl.
I was gonna tell you, I get the
I'll just, you put my name out there once in a blue moon. I'll take photos anytime you want. So we're good to go.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. But yeah. So I really do most everything. If people hop on my Instagram, they can see what I do. So that's pretty cut and dry.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for coming on. This was
yeah. An all over the place interview. Sorry about that.
No, it was good. I like the, I don't like to have like just set questions. I just have I have some chicken scratch written down, and then we'll just see where things go. This is like my chicken scratch right there. It's
just conversation basically. So well, that's cool. It was a good conversation. It was fun. I'll keep I'll keep marketing for you too. Just grab your stuff and put it up on story so people hear about it.
You know what? It would be cool if you sent me a picture you took for me when I post this.
Absolutely. Like my favorite pic, or do you want something like of a person or a place? Because landscape. What do you want?
Whatever. The favorite's good.
My favorite. Okay. Oh, okay. I know which one I'll send you then.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, cool. I'll send that to you right now.
All right, everybody.
Thanks for listening.